Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Miracle with Jesus. So you will notice that I'm in a different location, and that is all going to make sense here in just a couple of minutes after I get through our Bible story here. So this week we are doing the feeding of the 5,000, but I'm actually in the book of Mark, so it's the feeding of the 4,000. Now this is one of those times that don't get caught up in the numbers. Just remember, it's a whole lot of people that are here. So out of Mark 8, here's what happened. Jesus had been teaching, and he was teaching a big crowd. And they had been there all day, and they, nearing that time that people were going to want to eat. And the disciples went to Jesus, and they said, you need to send everyone home, because there are a lot of them. And when there are a lot of them, we don't have enough money to feed them all. And Jesus said, no, go see what they have, what food they have among them, and then bring it to me. And they're like, And you know what they did? They did it because, dude, it's Jesus. You listen to what Jesus asks you to do. And they go and they find, they have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Now remember, I said that there were 4,000 people, or in another gospel it said 5,000 people. Now, here's the deal though. It's not just like 5,000 or 4,000 people. It's that many men. And then there were women and children there too. So we're talking a huge crowd, and they have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And so the disciples bring it to Jesus, and the Bible doesn't tell us this, but I'm pretty sure in their head they're like, this is going to be like one of those I told you so moments, Jesus. And yeah, well, it's Jesus. He always knows. And so he takes that food and he holds it up and he asks God to bless it. And then he tells the disciples, go ahead and you're going to go and you're going to feed all of the people with this. And they go to do that. And we are told that everyone there, remember we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people, they all ate until they were full. They ate as much as they wanted. And then there were 12 baskets of food left. Think about that, 12 baskets of food left. After feeding all of those people, all from 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. So here's a couple of things that we need to remember in this. One is, obviously, this is called the Miracles of Jesus, our new segment. So Jesus can do those things. But what he did was he took those and he lifted that bread and those fish up to God and asked him to bless them. And sometimes we try to get ahead of God and we're like, I'm going to do this. And then God will just say it's okay later. When really what we should do is ask God first, or ask him to bless what we do before we begin, instead of doing it afterward. And it's also just never forget how amazing God is and all that he can do. So I'm going to take just a second here and I'm going to flip the camera around so to give you kind of an idea of what we might be talking about here. So I'm going to pick this up. I don't know what I just did. So, but I'm going to pick this up. And so if you look here, do you see all of those tables and chairs out there? So this is our dining room, and this is why I came down here. Now, we cannot fit 1,000 people in this room by any shot. And I think I would have a hard time believing that we could feed everyone that would fit in this room with only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, and give them enough food that they could be full and then still have 12 baskets of food left. So I think though, since this is so many people fewer, I'm thinking we would be trying to feed this many people with a saltine cracker and 1 Swedish fish. If you don't know what a Swedish fish is, think 1 goldfish cracker. And I don't think we could feed all of those people with that. Now this is where it's important to remember that this is a miracle of Jesus and a miracle that God performed. So this was not the disciples by themselves. One of the things that we learned at our VBS we did a couple of weeks ago at Rocky Railway, I forgot the name of it for a second, at Rocky Railway, was that Jesus can help us do hard things. Trust Jesus. And this would have been a hard thing, not like something that was scary, but something that was difficult. We also learned that Jesus can help us do both things. Trust Jesus. I think this was a pretty bold thing. So this week, I want you to look for ways that God is performing miracles all around you. It might not be something this big, because you really, really should not be around that many people right now. Want to be COVID safe, everyone. But little things. Did you know that every time a flower blooms, that's a miracle of God, because God created that flower? Every time you see a person walking around, that's a miracle of God. So go ahead and drop the miracles that you see in the comments. And you want to know something? If you don't drop them there, totally okay, but talk about them with your family. I hope you've enjoyed this week's miracle. Bye, everyone.